Hello everybody, my name is Starrapter and welcome to the channel. This is my review, spoiler free of course, for The Witcher Season 2. This is based off of the book written by Andrew Sapkowski called Blood of Elves. And in this we pick up right after The Witcher Season 1, which has Geralt and Ciri meeting up. Destinies have collided, and it was all because of them meeting that it really transpires the events that happen throughout the season. And also we have Yennefer, so we really have like 3 point of view stories. We have Yennefer, Ciri, and Geralt. So Geralt takes Ciri to Kaer Morhen, which is basically the place where the Witchers hang out during the winter. So this story is really all about that relationship that builds that bond between Geralt and Ciri, and about how she's training and about how she's like learning to do the techniques of the Witcher and also learning to kind of use her magical abilities. And it's all about discovering her secret bloodline and really what makes her special in this story and why everybody wants her. So that is as much as I want to give away for this adaptation of the book, and let's just get right into the good. So I'll start off with the creatures. I love the creatures in The Witcher, and season 1 was such a great start for introducing us to the world of the continent and everything that's going on there with these creatures, with these elves and everything else. And we're really seeing the creatures done right, as far as, hey, they're not just there for cool action bits. Yeah, the action bits are awesome, but we actually get to see character development through the actual the fighting of these creatures and different things. It's really pivotal to a lot of these characters' journeys to see how things resolve with these creatures and how it sets their lives further down the road. So I did enjoy that it's not, fighting for the sake of fighting. There's something deeper behind a lot of these battles here. This relationship that is just like this triad between, Geralt and Yennefer being almost like the mother and the father figure to Ciri, Sorella of Cintra. And I think that's just at the heart of this story. And what makes this kind of fantasy series different from Game of Thrones and different from Lord of the Rings, it's got its own vibe around this kind of familial sort of structure. We see really how that spawns and how it develops in this second season of The Witcher. Cinematography, even better than season 1, right? This is like Netflix's kind of competition against what would have been Game of Thrones from back in the day, right? So it's like, hey, this is Netflix's, triple A budget, if this was a video game, take on Game of Thrones, and just plenty of locations, plenty of different ecosystems, lots of different ambiance that's created through just the awesome effects. And that also goes in hand with the fight choreography. The fight choreography where Geralt is just going hand in hand with some of these creatures, and you're just seeing the gore and the visceral kind of just reaction, and it just appears so real that, man, oh man, for a streaming series, it just blows my mind that it's like, hey, I'd rather get this, an 8-hour story than a 2.5-hour movie that's not going to do justice to the books. And that's what I love about this long-term take on storytelling. Now that we have these series that have these $100 million plus budgets, it's just awesome to see this stuff come into play and be able to watch it, of course, like at your leisure, or in my case, just binge the hell out of it because you're just so engaged with it. I will say that this show starts very strong and it ends very strong. And that's where I'm going to get into my negatives, because I feel like that middle area of this season starts to drag on a little bit. I feel like the pacing gets a little bit not monotonous. And I will say that as somebody who has read Blood of Elves, I feel like it might be hard for people, the everyday Joe or whatever, the people that haven't read the books, right? The people that haven't read the books, I don't know if they're going to be able to kind of latch on to all these characters and what's going on, because sometimes we don't really get to understand what is actually happening in these different regions. And without like a map or anything that's visual, it's really kind of hard to just hear these names just kind of nonchalantly thrown into the mix and not know geographically like what they're talking about. Yeah, they mentioned the North, Nilfgaard and all that kind of stuff, but still these other places like Redania and Caywin and Temeria and all these places that I know like the names of these characters and different things, but I feel sorry, or not, I don't know if sorry is the right word, but I feel concerned for the mass audience that is going to be exposed to this kind of deeper lore now in this season 2, and if they're going to be able to stay on to that. I will say there are some deviations in this season, deviations from the source material, where I feel like sometimes it's not doing the characters justice, or certain characters that have certain interactions with other characters that I feel aren't true to the characters. And of course, this is an adaptation, right? So I can't really wrong them necessarily for having this kind of interpretation of the character in his series, but it just kind of threw me off a little bit, where it gave me kind of like a negative vibe. I do feel like there's a certain character specifically in this story where something happens to them and it's their entire arc, but we don't understand why this thing happened. There's not enough explanation. I feel like it's great to see them kind of be triumphant over this root cause and what's going on with them right now in this part of the story. And but I don't know how it got to that point. I think what really helped this story is that they would have had just a simple 5-minute catch-up recap video, which it's weird because I believe Netflix does that quite frequently with a lot of their original series. So I was very confused about why there wasn't any like, hey, last time on The Witcher kind of thing, because especially with something that's very lore heavy, a brand new fantasy universe, at least for the viewers, right? This series has been out since even, predates Game of Thrones, but for the viewers out there, it's been literally 2 years since we've watched The Witcher. So I think it would be great to have some sort of recap video, revisiting some of his characters and whatnot. That would help. With that being said, I will give The Witcher Season 2 a score of a 7 out of 10. I will say I didn't like this as much as the first season for the reasons I just stated, but it does leave me, like I said, with a strong inclination, a strong urge to see the next iteration of The Witcher, and it ends strongly to the point where I'm like, okay, I see where this happened. I see where this is going, and I think the best way to describe Season 2 of The Witcher is this is kind of that setup season. Without this season, I feel like Season 3, which who knows when that's coming, will be much more of a payoff. We're getting a lot of setup, but this is like a table setting series. All right, there's lots of epic stuff that happens in this season, but it just feels like sometimes it was plotting just a little bit. One cool thing that's happening with The Witcher, this franchise as a whole is expanding almost rapidly, like Star Wars in a way, right? They're, Nightmare of the Wolf, which is a great precursor that I would recommend watching. It's the anime that's on Netflix. It's all about Vesemir and kind of his origins, so I definitely would recommend that. But then they also have a trailer for Blood Omen, or Blood Origin, which is basically how everything got created with the elves and with humans and with monsters and the conjunction of spears, which is like basically what I imagine is like the Big Bang where everything comes together, and that's where they are in the current world. So there's a lot of things going on, and there's supposedly like a family series, which I don't know how that's going to be, because how do you have family friendly in the world of The Witcher? It's super mature. And apparently they're making another full-fledged kind of animated movie as well. So The Witcher, they are going full steam ahead. And it's with good reason, because there's so much potential with this series, so much to do, so many characters, so many different eras of time you can play around with. So I am just super excited about this series as a whole. I wish Season 2 could have been a little bit better, but still, I enjoyed it quite a bit. So did you guys watch The Witcher Season 2? Let me know in the comment section down below for more on series, and especially Star Wars. I have a lot more on the channel. You can go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that way you never miss out on any of that content. That's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.